You're listening to Living Free, your podcast for a life full of freedom and magic. I'm your host, Tanja Hirsch, and I hope that every time you listen, you feel a little bit more inspired to follow your intuition and to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Living Free podcast. Today, I have a solo episode for you because I've had so many amazing, expanding, liberating interviews lately, and I love them. But I thought today is a beautiful opportunity to tune in with you and to share one of my favorite topics with my one-on-one coaching clients at the moment, and something I'm really passionate about because it has changed my life a lot. And I'm talking about expanding your capacity to feel pleasure. So in today's episode, I will give you tools on how you can expand your capacity to feel pleasure in your self-pleasure practice or with a partner in a sacred union. And I will give you tools how you can drop from your thinking mind into your body so you can be more present to experience pleasure. And before we dive into this juicy episode, I have two announcements to make, and I'm super excited about sharing with you that my first Moorea retreat is open for application. So if you've ever dreamed about going to French Polynesia, traveling to the other side of the world, depending on where you're at, I created a really special once-in-a-lifetime adventurous retreat called Wild Soul, and it's all about untaming your adventurous soul. It's in the end of August, 22nd to 28th. You're gonna be swimming next to gigantic whales. You're gonna plant corals with coral gardeners. We will kayak to little islands. We will swim with reef sharks and stingrays. We will have a bee and hive workshop, a cooking class, all at the beautiful surrounding of the turquoise, dreamy waters here. It's a really special retreat for 8 souls only. 2 spots are already taken, so if you feel this retreat is for you, if it's calling your name, click in the link in my bio or visit my website iamtanjahirsch.com to save your spot. As soon as you applied, I will send you all the details, and then you can travel to my home paradise island to experience these adventures together. Of course, there's a lot of breath work, yoga, yin yoga, yoga nidra, meditation involved, and it's a really special program that I've created for you. We will have the most delicious, vegan, healthy, nutritious, mouth-watering food by my sister Poeti. Maybe you've seen the food in my stories. I'm really obsessed with her food. I think it's one of the best food I've ever tasted. And you know, I wrote a cookbook, so I'm very passionate about food. And the second announcement that I have to make, that I opened 2 one-on-one coaching spots in March. It's a very sacred container for 3 months, a safe space for you to open up, to expand, to grow, to blow your own mind of what's possible. 2 journeys are coming to an end now, and it's been such a magical 3 months, and I can't wait to call in these 2 souls for another 3 months. So if something within you is resonating, if you feel stuck, if you feel like your aliveness has been missing in these last few months, that there's more to your life, that you want to feel feminine in your body, that you want to be able to trust to create the life that you truly desire and not that anyone expects of you. If you're ready to dive deeper into your soul and connect back to your true essence so you can be the radiant woman you were born to be and to really have you, more of you in your life, then this journey is for you, and I'm super excited to guide you on it. The application link is also in the show notes, or you just visit my website. And now I can't wait for you to listen to this juicy episode on how to expand your capacity to feel pleasure and to deepen or to open your orgasmic potential. And it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or if you're single. As you know, I've been single for 4.5 years before I met my partner recently, and I stayed abstinent for 22 months. And by abstinent, I mean I didn't have sex with a man, but I had a lot of exploration with my own body and my own sacred sexuality. And I really explored what I liked, what feels good for me, after being used to just using a vibrator. And that's what I want to encourage you with today's episode. If you're like me a few years back and you just masturbate to release energy, to release pressure, to sleep better in the evening, just a few minutes using a satisfier or vibrator, I encourage you to explore your body a little bit different and deeper than you're used to, because these vibrators, they are great and they reach a clitoral orgasm really fast, but what they do, and I've experienced this for myself, they numb us. So because the vibration, it's not a motion that's natural for the human body. No penis, no hand, no tongue can vibrate. So our bodies get used to it so quickly that we can even numb our clitoral area. And if we try to use our hands or our partner tries to pleasure us, it can feel unusual and we might have difficulties to come. So I invite you to leave your vibrators in your closet or wherever you hide them during the day, to really explore your body in a different, more sensual, more connected way. And even if you're in a partnership, I really believe a self-pleasure practice is really, really healthy and also good for a healthy relationship. It helps your partner to tell him what you like and how you want to be touched, what your boundaries are, what feels good in your body, because if you've never explored it on your own, how can your partner know? So not to give the sacred grail into your partner's hands, but to really go on this deep journey of exploration. And what I've experienced is that really how much pleasure we are able to feel is in direct correlation with how much we are able to feel on an emotional level. So how willing are you to really look at your your blocked, suppressed emotions, your pain? How deep can you meet yourself and connect to yourself? It's like the secret key to open up for more pleasure. And I really experience this right now in my first relationship in 4.5 years, where I crack open these layers around my heart of conditioning, of pain, of things I thought I healed and I worked through come up so deeply these days. And especially during the full moon that we just had, the full moon in Leo really hit me hard, and it brought up a lot of old stuff that I didn't even know were there anymore. But that's the power of the full moon. It stirs up a lot of unresolved shit. And every time we have these uncomfortable, sticky, messy emotions, this pain in ourselves bubbling up to the surface, we can choose if we numb ourselves or if we take it as an invitation to surrender, to feel it, to be able to heal it. And every time I choose to really go into it, to surrender, to be in this uncomfortable state, to be with these painful wounds and emotions, it's like another layer of conditioning cracks open, and the level of pleasure I experience, not only in the bedroom, but in my everyday life, through the senses, through eating, through being in nature, explodes to the maximum. And it doesn't happen like you crack open a layer and it stays like that. It's a constant dance between staying open in your heart and doing this inner work. And sometimes we fall back and we feel disconnected. And I've had this during the full moon. I feel so I felt so disconnected from myself, and I couldn't feel pleasure when I was eating. I didn't feel grateful. I didn't feel connected to me and to others. I was doubting. I was really in a deep state. But in these days, I really realized it's not that we stay open all the time if we crack open and we shed another layer. We don't stay in this open state forever. There comes times where we close, where there's pain, where we disconnect from our soul, and then this is where the work really takes place, where we don't run away, where we don't numb ourselves, but really look at our stuff and to feel it and to be uncomfortable and to hold ourselves in the storm and to be there for ourselves with loving words and kindness and nurturing. So just a little side note. And I really believe we have to deal with what's moving inside of us, because otherwise we have a blockage around our hearts or in different areas of our bodies, so that the life force, our sexual energy, cannot flow through our body and we cannot experience all the pleasure that is available for us. And this means that we have to be vulnerable with ourselves and with others too. And I've actually never been so vulnerable in my life with any partner before. It's still uncomfortable, but every time a sensation arises or something I used to swallow down and to not say out loud, I remind myself that I'm choosing a different path right now, and it can feel like walking through fresh snow. So the first few times you choose a different pattern can be very uncomfortable. Same as when you walk through fresh snow, the snow comes into your shoes, it's getting cold and wet and uncomfortable, but you know, the more you walk this path, the more you create a new healthy path that guides you to another timeline, to a healthy timeline, to a life that you really want from your heart space, and that you don't just walk because you're used to. And that's my journey right now. And it's really a lot of healing work, a lot of opening the heart, and this is so connected to our ability to feel pleasure. And it's, what's the date today? It's the 19th of February, and I never ever in my life experienced so many different orgasms in 1 year or in 6 weeks. I've had multiple full body energetic orgasms without being touched. I had nipple orgasms, and I shared about this in the Living Free Sister community in the Pleasure Sunday that I hosted last weekend, that I used to not like my nipples to be touched. I didn't like my nipples. When someone touched them, I just pushed the hand away. I really did not enjoy it because it was a part that I didn't accept on my body. And since I did these tantric practices and I practiced self-massage and breast massage, I have so much sensations in my breasts that I was able to experience a nipple orgasm, and I never thought this was possible. I had a cervical orgasm, multiple G-spot orgasms. I think it was a few weeks ago, I had a G-spot orgasm that didn't stop. I think it was 4 or 5 songs long for at least 12 minutes, and I think I could have gone forever. And I never experienced this before. So I don't tell you this to impress you. I just want to show you what's possible, because a few years back I only had clitoral orgasms, and clitoral orgasms are energy releases. So if you're peaking to to a clitoral orgasm, it's like an energy release. You release the energy out of your yoni, your root chakra, and then what happens most of the time, you feel tired. You just want to sleep because you just released so much energy. And these other kinds of orgasm really move through your body like energetic waves, and you can work with this energy to even create and manifest. But it's a whole nother topic. I just wanted to give you a little introduction. And before I give you the tools on how you can make your self-pleasure practice or your practice with a partner very sacred and more sensational and more pleasurable, there's one thing I really see with my clients. I see when I look back on my life that sometimes we are so goal-oriented, and this is how our society works, so we can't really blame ourselves for that. It's just how we grew up and how everyone is running this world, that we are so in a rushing mode, our nervous system is so overstimulated, we are so overwhelmed, overstressed, overworked all the time that there's no room for pleasure. If we want to feel our full orgasmic potential, we really have to slow down and we really have to regulate our nervous system. Because if you don't feel safe and you feel stressed and overworked and overwhelmed, you will not be able to have a full body orgasm, because your body has to be in a relaxed, surrendered state. And that's what many people are skipping, the healing part, the opening part, the surrendering part, the trusting part. They want to reach the orgasms, but it's not possible if we try to rush there. It's the opposite. It's not about the orgasm, it's about the pleasure that we are feeling during these practices. And that's how our bodies really open and how these blissful states are possible for mind-blowing experiences. It really blew my mind. My first energetic full body orgasm, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, opened a door to a whole new universe for me. When I had my first orgasm without being touched, it was more like a psychedelic experience for me. My whole body was shaking and I felt like my spirit is expanding. It's hard to describe with words, but for me it just opened the door to what's possible. And that's why I went so deep into these tools and these practices. And I never thought I'm going to share them. I just wanted to soak up everything because I'm just very open-minded and I wanted to explore everything that is possible to experience in our human bodies. But now I feel very called to share these tools. And I just want to share a few ways how you can calm your nervous system so you can open up for more pleasure. And one way to really calm down your nervous system, to come from a tense, overstimulated state of being into a relaxed, really deep relaxation state, is yoga nidra. And I have tons of these practices in my Living Free Sister community if you want to dive deeper into that. And yoga nidra is one of the most effective tools to really drop into this deep relaxation state from an overstimulated, stressed body and mind and heart state into a state of beingness. It feels almost like you're entering a state of sleep, but you're still awake and you're following my voice, but your body is completely relaxed. And that's where you have access to your subconsciousness, and you can also reprogram your beliefs. So it's a really, really powerful tool that I use in my work, and that really helps you to calm your nervous system and to make you feel safe. And these tools to calm your nervous system is really the number one and really necessary step, because if you don't feel safe in your body, you cannot surrender to an orgasm. An orgasm is the deepest state of surrender you can achieve. So yoga nidra is an amazing tool. Yin yoga, meditation, breathing techniques, pranayama, sensual dance. And just be aware that the female body needs 30 to 40 minutes, sometimes even an hour, to open up, to be able to really have a full body yes to be penetrated. And it doesn't matter if it's a dildo or a penis or a finger. If your yoni is not open, she doesn't want to be penetrated. And if you really do this sacred self-pleasure practice, and I use the word self-pleasure for a reason, masturbation is more goal-oriented. You do it to achieve an orgasm, but self-pleasure is to explore your pleasure, your sensation, your body with everything that arises. So it's not, doesn't even mean you have to have an orgasm. It's more about awaken your senses, your sensuality, and to be present with everything that moves through your body, with everything that is alive for you right now. And my boyfriend likes to say I'm like a diesel engine. It takes more time to heat it up, and he always says I need more time than most women that he used to be with. But when I'm open, it's a different kind of openness. And he always says it's so worth it, and it's a mind-blowing different experience for both of us if you take the time alone or with a partner to open up. So instead of reaching for the clitoris, just opening your body up. And I guided a really beautiful session in our Pleasure Sunday. You can catch the replay in the Living Free Sister community, where I guided you step by step through a breathwork technique that connected you to your bliss body, and then a sensual dance where we explored different kinds of touch. And then we did a full body massage before we dived into the breast massage, and really created a connection to our breasts, because there's so much shame around how our breasts are supposed to look like, etc. And it's a really, really special, sacred tool. And one of my sisters actually had a nipple orgasm during this exercise, and it's such an honor to guide these women through these sacred tools. And if your nervous system is calm, if you're slowed down, if you're present, there are a few tools I want to share with you how you can expand your capacity to feel pleasure. And the secret key how you can do this, how you can experience more pleasure in your sacred sexuality alone or with a partner, is by using your senses. We have our senses for a reason, and the more senses you involve in these self-pleasure practices or with a partner, the more pleasure you will feel, because it's just mind-blowing to have all the senses activated. It's like eating a mango. If you just watch TV and are on the phone at the same time and you eat it, and you won't really feel it. But if you're present, if you take your time to be grateful for what you're eating, if you smell, if you taste, if you enjoy, allow yourself to receive the pleasure, you can receive pleasure in almost every single moment of your life. You can receive pleasure by looking at a flower, but the key is to be present. And if you involve your senses not only by when you're eating, but also in the bedroom and in your self-pleasure practice, I promise you it will be another experience. And I just share with you a few tools how you can involve your senses in this pleasure practice. So we are very outward oriented and focused most of our days with our eyes. And I always recommend to women to set a sacred space for the self-pleasure practice. So you dim the light, you light up some candles, you make the room as cozy as possible. Maybe you even change your sheets, you have your favorite blanket, you wear your favorite lingerie that makes you feel very sensual and very feminine. So you use the sense of sight, of seeing, to turn yourself on basically, and to make your experience more pleasurable through a cozy space, and a space that makes you feel safe and where you can surrender and open up. You can use sound through your favorite playlist. I love sensual playlists that really move me in these practices. You can use the sense of smell by using incense and body oils that have a flavored like essential oils in the oil. I always recommend to not work with chemical oils, because the oil gets soaked into your body very deeply. Some oils, they go into your bone skin, so never use cheap artificial chemical oils, but very organic, skin-friendly oils with high-quality essential oils. I sometimes use coconut oil with lavender, very high-quality essential oil. You can use sprays or diffusers to use the sense of smell to increase and expand your capacity to feel pleasure during this practice. You can use the sense of taste by eating chocolate or a piece of mango. You can do this with your partner or alone. It might sound unfamiliar, but if you really use these senses in the bedroom, it's really, it's a game changer, I promise you. And really allow yourself to feel the pleasure, not just stuff it in your mouth and eat it, but be really present and enjoy the taste of it. You can play with your touch. You can touch yourself with your fingers. In Tantra, we call it the feather-light touch, by just slightly touching with your fingertips. You can use a feather, you can use flowers, you can use strokes, you can use different techniques to play with what feels good in your body. How do you desire to be touched? And just explore. There's no right or wrong, no good or bad. If you want to be guided through this, I still recommend the Pleasure Sunday, but you can also just play and explore on your own. And one of my favorite tools, the breast massage. It's really a game changer, especially if you have shame around your breasts, which I had for a long time. If you have blockages around your heart space on an energetic and emotional realm, so if you had heartbreak and you feel you haven't healed it, you have a blockage in your heart chakra, the breast massage can help you open up these blockages. And also one tip, and I think I'm gonna go deeper into that another time, is using a yoni egg. And especially if you've had traumatic experiences or even just intercourse, sex with partners that you were not a full body yes, if you forced yourself, if you thought you have to do it because it's what people do in a relationship, your yoni stores a lot of tension and trauma in the muscles, and the yoni egg can cleanse this tension and these blockages and traumas, and can help you to gain more sensation during sex and your orgasmic potential. You can work with crystal wands, with yoni eggs, and the healing power of the stones has different qualities, but this would explode this episode, so I'm not going to dive too much into that. And one last thing I would like to dive into is the emotional aspect of pleasure, because sometimes we just want to feel all these orgasms and we are not able to because our heart is blocked. So a few ways to involve the emotional layer, and I actually wanted to say that before, that the difference between masturbation and self-pleasure practice is that you have an intention behind this whole practice. So you set an intention before you get started, and it will change your whole experience. If you actually, anything you do in your life, if you have an intention, it will be a spiritual practice. It will be a sacred practice. You're not just going in there and rushing towards something. You're setting an intention and you stay connected to the intention. You have a why behind your practice. And another thing is emotional releases. So to be able, like I said in the beginning, to feel all the pleasure that's available to the female body, you have to be open to feel your emotional pain, your wounds, your trauma, everything that has been guiding you to close your heart, all the painful experiences. If you never felt them, if you decided to close your heart, to build these protection layers, these patterns in your relationships that keep you safe and where you don't have to drop the masks and show your vulnerability, these are exactly the layers that are preventing you from experiencing the most pleasure capacity. And I really encourage you to have someone to work through this with you. You don't have to do this alone. Someone you trust, someone you feel open to share your heart with, to really open your heart space and to allow yourself to feel it, to heal it. I wish I could tell you there's a secret pill you can use to have all the orgasms in the world, but there's no way around the shadow work, around emotional release work, around feeling the pain that has been causing your closing of the heart. Also, you need, like I said before, a safe space in your body. So if you don't feel safe with a partner, if you don't feel seen, if you don't feel heard, if you don't feel appreciated and loved and really safe, I promise you, you will have a hard time experiencing these orgasms, because the female body opens through the heart. The yoni opens through the heart. That's why breast massage, it's such my number one favorite thing in the world, to open up my body. My boyfriend always says it's like my secret button. If he doesn't touch my breasts, she doesn't open. And it's because in Tantra they say our hearts, our breasts are the positive pole and our yonis are the negative pole. And for the man, it's the opposite. And that's why the energy can circulate. If our heart opens, the yoni opens. And for the man, it's the other way around. He gives through the lingam and he receives through the heart. So if your heart is closed, he won't receive your love from the heart, and then the energy can't flow. So if you have any emotional blockages, I really encourage you to do this deep inner healing work. It will change your life forever. It will change your ability to feel pleasure immensely. Like, it was mind-blowing what's possible if you really feel it. And yeah, I already talked about it before. You need to slow down. There's no rushing. If you feel rushed, like if my boyfriend goes down and I feel he just wants me to have an orgasm, she shuts down. Like, she doesn't want to be rushed. I want to, and I told him, and he's very good with that now, that it's more about the experience, and the less pressure he has, the more I open up and the more pleasure I feel. And sometimes I really have these waves rushing through me for minutes, and for last time it was many minutes. I thought it would not stop. Intuitive dancing is a beautiful tool to move any emotions through your body. So the feminine embodiment work is really a great tool to not shut down if any painful emotion arises, but to work with it and to release it through your body, through sound, through dancing. And also what has been most healing for me personally, and what was the reason why I created the Living Free Sister community, is if you share from your heart and you allow yourself to be seen and to be felt and to be heard, and to see how it touches others and how the other sisters feel you in your experience, is so healing, because it shows you're not alone with your pain. Just because no one talks about it doesn't mean you're not alone. Everyone feels lonely, everyone craves connection, everyone craves to be seen and safe and heard. But we all carry these brick walls around our heart, and I used to hate it. I shared about this before on my podcast when I went to the Heal the Heart retreat with Rachel Braithen in Aruba. I think it was 4 years ago. And we did these sharing circles. And even before, I hated it. I was already counting the seconds, thinking what I would say, because my heart was racing. I was nervous. I didn't want to show them what I felt, because I sometimes didn't even know what I was feeling. I was so disconnected from myself that I was terrified to show up vulnerably. And then just by being in the space and hearing these women speak and tell their story that were really traumatic and really heartbreaking, and to see them so vulnerable, like crying and releasing and allowing themselves to be seen, my heart was so touched. It was a real connection. It was not pretending everything's fine, I'm good, all easy peasy. Like I've been there too for many, many years. I've been a master in pretending everything's fine to myself and others. But if we really drop the masks and we're really honest and we don't distract ourselves and keep ourselves busy and we allow ourselves to feel the pain, it's not okay always. There are times where we have the highest highs and there are the shittiest lows where we are on our knees crying, feeling alone, wondering if anyone would be sad if we die. It's normal. We are human, and no one is alone with these feelings. But being in a circle of supporting women that support you and that see you, it's really life-changing. And even if you're scared, even if you feel like you can't share anything, it's even healing to just be in the space of openness and hear these women speak. And one day you might feel safe to speak your first sentence. And I promise you it gets easier with time because you feel safe around women. You can heal a lot of sisterhood wounds, a lot about trusting women, a lot about showing yourself authentically, using your authentic expression, and to really allow yourself to be human and to not fake a perfect robot that we sometimes try to be. It's not healthy for our well-being. And the last thing I would like to share with you are a few tools that you can use if you're a person like me. I overthink, I have a huge inner critic, I overanalyze, I judge, I rationalize, I am so much in my mind, you wouldn't believe it, that I share these tools because I need them so much. And these tools help you to drop from your thinking mind into your body, because you can't reach an orgasm by being in your head and thinking about all the things and how you look and what he might think right now if he's going down. Like, you really have to be present in your body. You have to feel safe in your body, comfortable in your body, to be able to open up. And what helps me the most, and that's why I teach it in the Pleasure Sundays and in my Living Free Sister community, there are tons of videos where you can catch the replay, is breath work. There are different kinds of breathwork techniques, and I have a whole month, episode 12 to 15, if you want to listen to these, where I interviewed 3 experts on breathwork that really are full-time breathwork facilitators living in Bali, and that share a lot of wisdom about the breath, because our breath is life force energy, and if you work with your breath, you can open up layers you didn't know were possible. You can heal emotional pain, you can drop from your head into your body, you can have visions, you can have releases, you can have so many incredible experiences. I've seen so many things. For me, it's almost always been a spiritual experience where my mind, my body, my soul was expanding and I was becoming one with the universe, and I had experiences that are hard to describe with words, but that opened just another level of this human experience, and that made me realize there's so much more than just the physical world. But it's one of the most efficient ways to drop from the head into the body. And that's why I share it almost every time, at least a little session before we dive into these feminine embodiment practices. Because if you're listening to this and it's still far away from you, I probably would have judged this a few years back because I thought it's not possible, because all I knew was the clitoral orgasm, and even that sometimes wasn't possible with a partner. But yeah, just try it. I promise you, it will blow your mind. This deep healing journey is not just for chosen ones or for special people or for people who had big trauma. Every single one of us experienced trauma in in some way, and this shows up in our relationships, and it impacts us on so many levels. So there's no one that doesn't need this work. Especially if you're like, nah, I don't need this. It might be for you. And yeah, like I shared before, breathwork has really given me more mind-blowing psychedelic experience than any other plant medicine or drug or alcohol. And another tool you can use to drop into your body from your head into your body is intuitive dancing. And ecstatic dance in Bali has helped me a lot, because even when I was dancing, when I was not drunk, alone it was okay, but in a club or on a party, I always admired those people who can just go on the dance floor and dance freely. I was always so much in my head of how it would look, of how other people would think of me if I was in rhythm, if I was moving weird. So I was never in my body. I was always in my head. And this is such a nightmare experience, because it prevents us from feeling joy and from feeling the sensation of feeling free in our bodies. And ecstatic dance has really helped me to just see and explore how my body wants to move to the music, to explore how I want to express myself through the body to the music, to feel the music, not to listen to it and to try to look good, but to really allow myself to express. And you can just in the morning switch on a song, dance naked in front of a mirror in your underwear, or even dressed, just dance with your eyes closed, or look at yourself while you're dancing. That's also very healing. Seeing a female body dancing is very, very beautiful. But the thing is to just dance the way it feels good and not the way it looks good. It can be a huge game changer to bring you from your head into your body. Shaking meditation from Osho, another tool I use in my work, works in a few minutes. You're out of your head and in your body. And of course, there's the soul level, more advanced, where you completely surrender into the energy expansion, where you can feel the energy flow between you and your partner. And I've had this a few times with my partner this year. I've never experienced something like that before, and I won't dive too much into it. But if you ever, I can't promise you to have a full body orgasm, but if you do this healing work and these practices on a regular basis, I can promise you, you will get very close to it. And every single human can experience it, but it depends on where you are in your journey, on how many layers you have, how much conditioning you have, how much you can allow yourself to drop into your body to be able to have these states. But it's definitely possible. And if you want to dive deeper into these tools and into especially the breath work, if you listen to my last podcast episode with Katie Moore, she's a breathwork facilitator from England, and she specializes in rebirthing breathwork. And this can really be a life-changing experience. It opens up the deeper layers, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the soul layer. It's a 2-hour journey that will leave you expanded. It will leave you cracked open. It will leave you feeling so alive. It's really been one of the most mind-blowing experiences of my life. And I'm honored that she will teach inside the Living Free Sister community. If you don't want to be part of the community, you can just join the Pleasure Sunday. It's on the 27th of March. You can sign up now for it. And you also get 7 days access to Katie. So if anything comes up after the session or during the session, she's a support and a guide to help you move through these things and to be there for you with whatever comes up for you. And I will link everything in the show notes. I hope this episode inspired you to go on a pleasure journey with your own sensuality, with your own capacity to feel it inspires you to dive deeper into your healing journey, because sometimes we think it's so far away if we're busy in our everyday lives, but it's so necessary, especially right now. I think we're done with pretending everything's fine. We're done with having an artificial life that looks good, but to really create a life that feels good, a life that we want, where we can express ourselves and create a life that makes us feel alive and excited to wake up towards. And that doesn't mean that always everything is perfect. I promise you, I live on the island of my dreams and I still go through a lot of shit here. But I feel very alive and very aligned and very connected to me and my purpose. And I wish I knew these tools earlier, but they all come in divine timing and when you're ready. So take your time, and even if it doesn't resonate now, maybe it might in the future. I'm sending you so much love from Moorea to wherever you're at in the world, and I see you next week.